Jasmine, just explain in layman's terms what quantitative easing actually is and whether it's now come and gone.
Well, yes, because it sounds like, well, goodness knows, it sounds like some sort of medical experiment. But what quantitative easing is, in as you say, layman's terms, is essentially money printing. Even though we don't actually print very much money, you could say it's digitally printing money. It used to be years ago, really decades ago, that we had a gold standard. So you had money that was printed allegedly according to the amount of gold that we had in our reserves. But that went about 100 years ago, certainly in this country. It went in the 70s in America. And since then, really, there's been nothing solid, nothing really solid. I mean, people would argue against this, but I consider there's been nothing really solid against which you could put the pounds that we have printed. It's become what they call fiat money. So fiat, as you know, is a statement. So the government says that's worth a pound, etc. And we all go, oh, all right then. But there's nothing really solid backing it other than a sort of a vague sense of how the country is doing. But of course, even if you put something like that vague sense of how the country is doing next to the value of the pound, that's not really a lot right at the moment.
No, and that's actually the issue here, isn't it? That just looking around you, things seem to be kind of bad. I mean, we have right now at the moment, well, we had pestilence with COVID, we have war in Ukraine, we have famine with all these food shortages from the breadbasket of Europe. So 3 of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse are already in town. Is underneath all the happy talk, can the mess that's been made be untangled?
Oh, good gracious. I think it's going to take a while to untangle it because, I mean, you went through many of the reasons here, as you said, this sort of daft sense of perfectibility where you have to have zero COVID, you have to have zero carbon, and the authoritarianism, I think, that is behind this. And as you've also pointed out, this is underpinned, if you can call it that, by hot air. And as you've mentioned with the quantitative easing, that's printing of money to the max so that the more you print this money, the less it's worth. And you could say that it's the same with quite a lot of the edicts that we're getting from our government, from the European government, from America, from the World Economic Forum. It's all these increasing numbers of edicts and platitudes mean less and less to a populace that is realizing that we've increasingly been lied to. So it's not just our currency that has been devalued, it's the currency of trust in authority, of trust in governments that is increasingly devalued. So they're having to scream louder, I think, to make any sort of inroads in our consciousness now.
No, there used to be expressions that I haven't heard in a very long time, like sound as a pound. Do you remember that one? I don't know that people actually, I think that's yours is the right reaction. I don't think you could say that with a straight face these days. But what I find interesting is that outside the government announces things, and then you have international institutions such as the IMF that seem to be saying, no, you might want to rethink that. That's something new, isn't it? That the government does not even seem to have the freedom to navigate a path out of this.
Well, yes, absolutely. And again, we have similarities here with the World Health Organization, which is still saying that it's going to be telling the rest of the world what to do in the event of whatever they consider to be a new health emergency, which, could be a whole rash of ingrowing toenails across the world. I don't know. They will decide what is a health emergency, and they will tell us all what we can and can't do about it. So yes, the IMF likes to tell us and others what to do. you could say, International Monetary Fund, well, that, does what it says on the tin, but still, no, I don't personally think that they have the right to do that. But increasingly, governments seem to feel that they should genuflect to any unaccountable, large, rich global organisation that happens to set itself up.